Hey Islanders, and welcome to episode 31 of the Camano Voice. On this episode, I speak to a songwriter and singer that grew up right here on Camano Island in the Stanwood area. Please welcome Leanna Crawford. Hi, I'm Brandon Erickson, and you're listening to the Camano Voice podcast, where I interview folks around Camano Island and beyond. If you want to stay up to date on events, businesses, and even hear a little history of this area, subscribe to this podcast and share with your friends. Thanks for listening. Hey Islanders, and welcome to another episode of the Camano Voice, where we release a new episode every Tuesday. On this episode, I got to speak to Leanna Crawford, and she's actually the younger sister to Lauren Brem, who I interviewed on episode 8 of the Camano Voice. And so she grew up in this area. She now lives in Nashville. She's a singer and songwriter. And so we get to dive into all the things of how she got into that, how did she get started, starting in Stanwood, Camano area, and how her journey led her to where she is now. We also get a little sneak peek as far as hearing about the inspiration behind one of her new song that's going to be coming out here in February. So be on the lookout for that. It's called Funeral. And anyways, so I had a great time talking with her, and I hope you enjoy listening. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Leanna Crawford. Hey Islanders, it's Brandon with the Camano Voice, and today I'm here with a songwriter and singer. Please welcome Leanna Crawford. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and for those of my listeners who don't know, I actually interviewed your older sister early on in the podcast days. That was Lauren Brem. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I got another Crawford on here, so that's exciting. So before we get started with everything, tell us a little bit about Leanna.
Well, I love long walks on the beach, and no, I'm kidding. I grew up in the Stanwood Camano area and loved getting to grow up there. I grew up riding horses, was very close to my family, still really close to my family. And I spent most of my growing up in Stanwood Camano. And then I went to school. I went to college in Kirkland, Washington, at a school called Northwest University. And then 2 years ago, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I currently live, and I do music. So that's a little bit about me.
Very cool. So let's go back a little bit. So you grew up in the Stanwood Camano area. Was that all through your high school years then?
So when I was 7 or 8, we lived on the island the first 8 years of my life, and then we moved into Stanwood. And so all through high school. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And, so as far as you moved to Stanwood and stuff, how was that transition? And I mean, it wasn't a huge transition, but as far as what was the reason for kind of moving out?
The reason was, so we had this house, which is so funny because not now living in Nashville where I miss the water so much because I live in a place where I'm kind of landlocked. There's water and it's beautiful here and I love it. But I was didn't realize how spoiled I was to literally grow up on the water. And that's a lot of people that live on the island or kind of live in the Puget Sound area. You just get to grow up so close to the water, on the water.
Yeah.
And so I remember just playing on the beach all the time. And we had forts in the woods and just next to the house. It was I loved it. And then we actually moved to Stanwood because my parents had got more property so we could have horses.
Okay.
So when I was 8 or 9 is when I started my job on the farm. Me and my sisters would take care of the horses. And so that was our thing, morning, noon, and night. Made us very responsible. But that was kind of that transition was it was exciting to move. But we always still went out to the island. And we moved 20 minutes away, so it wasn't a huge move. But yeah. But moving to the farm was just a whole new thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. Because I knew your family, I mean, for background there, I knew your older brother. We were friends growing up. And I think we hung out up until you guys, while you guys were on Camano. But then since then, once you guys moved out, I didn't see him much because, getting older and going different ways and stuff. So, I guess I didn't realize all the transition as far as moving out to Stanwood, and that's where you spent probably most of your growing up years then.
Yeah. Most growing up years were on the farm and just playing all around. It was such a fun place to grow up.
Yeah.
It was a fun place to grow up.
Very cool. And were you guys into like doing horse shows and things like that as well?
Yes. All the horse shows I started showing when I was 12. I think I did my first horse show or around then. And I remember one of my first ones was at the Stanwood Fair. And I wanted to, it looked like so much fun. I wanted to take my horse. And so I rode my horse in like they had a jumping class that you could do. And I remember that the song Bad Day was playing in the background as I like go to like do this course, and my horse would not jump any of them.
Oh,
0.
no.
I think that's the funniest memory ever because I didn't know the song was playing in the background, of course, but he like thinks every time he hears the song, he thinks of me and my poor like competitive spirit. I couldn't make it over any jumps that day. But then I had a more successful, I learned from that day and I got over jumps after that. But we did show jumping and eventing, and we're involved in a lot of we did horses. That was kind of our thing. I say we, because me and my younger sister did that. And then my older sister, when she came back from college, she started training and was our trainer for a few years, which was so fun.
Okay. Very cool. How did that, I know it's a little bit different in horse riding and stuff because you're focusing, it's like a sport, it's like a competition. You're more focused on what you're doing. But do you feel like the experience of like having to perform in front of people, stuff like that kind of helped you in future career stuff, or do you feel like it was very different?
I think there's definitely similarities. I think there's just like the adrenaline of like right before you go on stage, like right before I go to sing on stage, there's like this adrenaline and these nerves that are like the same as like before I would go into an arena to compete, because the stuff that we did with horses competitively, you're the only one in the arena, you're the only one in the ring, and everyone's watching you.
Oh, okay.
Because of that, and so I think I've never actually thought of that parallel or the correlation, but I think it probably is a similarity. That like getting up on stage to go sing songs in front of people by myself is kind of similar to just going out and trying to do my best riding a horse. Yeah.
So then, I know there was a point where you guys were homeschooled. Did you stay homeschooled throughout your whole high school years?
I did.
Okay.
All through. I make the joke that I would graduate at the top of my class because it was just me. So my parents were really proud. But all through high school, and then went to college and loved the college experience. And I was so nervous that it was gonna like be really difficult, and it was a great school. But I felt like I was able, like homeschooling didn't like put me back at all. Like I felt fine.
Yeah. No, and I feel like this. I feel very similar. Like when I started community college, because I was homeschooled most of my high school years as well. It's when you get your assignment list and everything, you're just like, oh, I know how to do this on my own, and yeah,
you can do it. Did you do Running Start, or did you start community college like kind of just right after high school?
Yeah, so I did community college right after high school. The last year and a half of my high school, though, I did go to a school called Hillcrest School. I don't know, something like that. But basically, it was a once-a-week school, and I was advancing in the math and sciences and stuff farther than what my mom and dad were able to like teach effectively. So they had searched out these people, and they did a once a week. So I did some of my schooling through them. So I had a little bit of like semi-classroom experience, but it was like 5 to 10 kids in a class.
That was kind of similar to us in high school is what we sort of did. It was with some different friends' parents that had like graduated in history and like math and science. So they would teach us, and there was like 5 to 10 of us in a class, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
Still count that as homeschooled though.
Yes. But. Yeah. Okay. So then you went to Northwest. What was your degree that you were studying at that time?
Music industry business.
Okay.
is the official title. It's a business degree with focus in music. So I took all like the marketing classes, and I took nonprofit class, and the accounting classes that you have to take in a business degree, like kind of all those. And then with a focus in the music business. So there's this huge convention that they do every year in LA. And I believe they do one in Nashville as well, but it's called NAMM. And it's basically this huge thing that it's a lot of like gear. So a lot of musicians and like production love this event because it's like new gear, new amps, new guitars, everything. And it's thousands upon thousands of people that go. And so through the school, we actually took a trip down. That was like our college trip, was going to NAMM for a weekend. And it was incredible just to see like all this. It was really, really special actually. So the business degree, I loved it. I loved learning about business, and I felt like it definitely helped coming into what I do now.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't realize that. So when you got out of high school, you had already kind of picked music and business as like, that was an area you wanted to focus on.
Kind of. I actually, when I graduated high school, I wanted to move to Nashville.
Okay.
And I was encouraged to not do that right away and just wait. And I'm glad that I took their advice. I was actually, I took a gap year after high school because I didn't know that I wanted to do music business. I knew I wanted to music and really felt a calling on my life to do that. But I took a gap year. I led a short-term mission trip to Haiti, to the country of Haiti, and and that was kind of what I spent a lot of the first half of my year doing. And then I played shows and different things like that where there were music involved. And then through that year, I felt like I should go to Northwest. I had visited that school and just really felt good about going there. And I'd also been encouraged to get a business degree. And they had a music business program that they had modeled after a college in Nashville. And I was like, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Really loved the professor that had headed that up, and it was a small school, and so it was pretty focused, which is nice. Like, it was small classrooms and everything, and I thought, if I would just like to know what happens behind the scenes, and so I'm really glad that that's what I did. But I did not know that's what I wanted to do right out of high school.
Okay.
I wanted to just go become an artist and get a record deal, but that's not exactly what happened. So.
Okay. So real quick though, I wanted to touch on, even prior to all of this, you wanted to move to Nashville. What had been your draw to Nashville?
I thought that's where you went to get to like do music.
Okay.
And that's what I wanted to do. And so I thought that's just where you moved. I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea. I just thought, if you want to do music, you should move to Nashville. Later, I found out that can be the case, but it's not always the case. And so I spent time doing music in Kirkland and in Seattle, and where I was supposed to be, where God had me at that point, which was much better for me at the time. But it was just so interesting. For some reason, I just thought Nashville, Music City, that's where I'm supposed to go. But that's not always the case.
Yeah. Very cool. So then you were going to Northwest. What happened from there? Oh, sorry.
I just took a drink of water. Apologies. Stay hydrated. So right before my junior year of college, I went to a songwriting boot camp / conference that my mom and I went to together. My parents are both very supportive. My whole family is very grateful for them. But my mom and I went to a songwriting boot camp in Colorado, Aspen, Colorado, which is very cool. And there were different speakers and songwriters there from the industry, a lot of them from Nashville. And at this conference, the first night, we did an open mic night. And they, excuse me, no one had really signed up for it, but they called a few different people, and it was, no one would go up, but then they called my name, and I was like, sure, like, I'll go sing a song. And so I borrowed someone's ukulele, and I went and played a song that I had written, and I didn't know it, but singer-songwriter artist by the name of Matthew West was there that weekend, and I knew he was going to be there that weekend. I didn't know he was there that night, but he had took a video. He took a video while I sang and sent it to his wife, And I had no idea he did this, but then afterwards he came up and started asking me all these questions if I had more songs and if I went to school and kind of just asked me about my background. And later found out that he was looking for someone to mentor and champion because he had been mentored by someone and she had just passed away. And so he felt like God was telling him to do that for someone else.
Okay.
And so he invited me. I sent him my demos that I had. And he invited me out to Nashville just a few months later. And that week I spent writing. It was my first time co-writing, which is when 2 or more people, generally like 2 to 3 people are in a room writing. And it was myself, Matthew, and another songwriter, producer named AJ Pruce, who I still work with, and he's producing my upcoming music. But we wrote, and then I got offered a publishing deal that week. And then throughout my junior year of college, I was an RA at the school as well.
Okay.
And they were gracious enough, because you're not really supposed to leave that much, but they were gracious enough to let me go. So I would spend a week there or a few days in Nashville and come back and go back and forth that whole year. And that was kind of the rest of my junior year of school was sort of spent doing that. And then my senior year of college, Matthew asked me to come on tour with him.
Okay.
Which was like, I was like, yes, I'm going to come on tour. And so I actually took that semester off. And I had planned a double major in college. It's just also funny, like you have these plans and sometimes God's like, no, you're going to change them a little bit or they're going to be totally different. And that's great. But I planned a double major, but I took that semester off so I could fully be focused on the tour. And then I finished online the semester after and was able to finish on time and like walk.
Wow.
With all my friends, which was really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what was that like being, doing a table writing with Matthew West and Alex, right? AJ. Oh, I was off.
You're fine. It was like going to school. It was literally like I was in a classroom all day long with just a brilliant mind. Matthew is an incredible songwriter. And he taught me a lot, even stuff I didn't realize, just like when I go into other co-writes now or when I'm writing my own music, there's different thought processes that I use or things that I use because of stuff that I've taken from him and learned from him, just being in the room with him. And so I feel like I was able and still able to just kind of go to school, he has like 20 years of experience on me that he's like giving me, and it's been really cool that to just be in the room. It was really intimidating at first, and some days I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but here I am. But definitely very intimidating at first. But they just are great people and have helped coach me along the way. So it's been really crazy. Very cool.
So tell us about that tour then that you took off for your school for.
So fun. It was very special because Matthew, actually, there was a job on the tour. Compassion International is a sponsorship organization, and he had a position opening for someone to be the compassion rep on the road. And he hadn't even met my sister, Lindsey, my younger sister, but he knew that we were very close, and he invited her to come do that job on the tour. And so that was her position on the road, was doing that. And so we got to do that tour together, which was like the most special and fun thing. It was just so cool. Like, it's the most special thing, like once in a lifetime thing to get to do that. We were like, this is so crazy. Everyone was so kind and welcoming. Everything was new. And so like getting on the bus for the first time, you just get like these butterflies and chills because you walk on, you're like, I get to live here for like 2 months. This is crazy. And the way that their touring schedule works, Wednesday night, you go to the bus call, which is where the bus is. You leave your car, and then you get back Monday morning. Bless you. We get back Monday morning, and so you do shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and then Monday morning you're back in Nashville, and you go to work or you go to sleep or you do whatever. And so that whole tour was just pretty incredible. It was with Matthew West and Jordan Felice. And so getting to know all of them was so special. They were all very encouraging, and I just have the best memories from that tour. And I have some good friends still from that tour, which is really special.
Yeah.
But love that. Love that.
Very cool. How old were you when you went on that tour then?
I have to do math. This is hard for me. I would have been 22.
Okay. Very cool. And so you guys got to both go on that tour then, and within that tour, were you singing on that tour then as well, or were you just kind of shadowing, or what was that part?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So I was singing. Yeah.
Okay.
So I sang 2 songs every night. And Matthew would have me come up during the set. He would introduce me. I would sing a song by myself, and then we would sing a duet together from my independent EP I put out called Crazy Beautiful You. And so I'd share a little bit about my heart. And I think we did over 30 shows that tour.
Wow.
So crazy. Awesome.
Okay. What were the 2 songs you guys did?
Crazy Beautiful You and Fragile Heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. What was that like for your first time going on stage and like when you knew you were supposed to go up?
The same thing, just those nerves, and I would just have to take lots of deep breaths and pray. And I loved being up there. And once I was on stage, I just love it. It's so fun to me. And I think it was just. There were nights that I still remember and I can picture of just singing my songs and singing Fragile Heart, especially where I would just have to take a moment and just breathe and look at what this moment, it was so incredible that God had he was here, this is a gift, you get to do this and you get to go on tour and share your songs and sing in front of these people and sing in front of Matthew's audience. And so there were so many surreal moments where I just had pinch myself and I was I'm going to cry right now because it's just so incredible. It was really cool. And to get to do that, it was so cool.
Very cool. So you had mentioned that your sister, Lindsey, got to actually come on that very first tour with you. And then has she continued to work? I know she's continued to work with you. Is that with Compassion, or is that for you, or how's that worked out?
Yeah. So she, after that tour, she was offered an internship with a company called Storyhouse Collective. They're actually my management company, and or not my management company, but my managers. And after the internship, she was offered a job, which is what she still does, and she's very good at what she does, a fast learner and just a people person and loves people and just really has an incredible heart. And so just seeing her grow and it's so cool. But yeah, so we get to work together a lot. We don't get to go on the road together very often, but there are occasional weekends where we'll get to do a show together, which is my favorite.
Okay. Does she live in Nashville then as well?
She does. We are roommates.
Oh, okay.
We have been, yes. When we first moved to Nashville, we moved in with 3 other girls, so there were 5 of us in a townhome, which was crazy, but so fun. It made rent really cheap, but we ended up great friends with those girls, and now 2 of those girls are our neighbors.
Okay.
Which is so special. So we now moved from that house, but we have a different place where they're actually our neighbors, and so we have good neighbors.
very, very good. That's always helpful.
Yeah, and they're still roommates, which is great.
Nice. So it's funny because I mentioned before I knew Craig, but I didn't really know you guys that well, other than I was always just in my head it was Leanna and Lindsey. So it's just funny it's continued to stay that even as you guys have grown up. But how is that? Does that, I don't know, does that help you feel grounded at times as far as having something that's familiar and all this crazy stuff's going on? Oh, wait, your audio has gone really low.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, about that. Yeah, she is my best friend and just my encourage her, and she's very wise, even though she's 16 months younger than me, so we're really close, but she's has a lot of wisdom, and so she helps talk me through some stuff. And when I'm like crazy and going crazy, she helps like talk me down. She's like, it's gonna be fine, you're good. Let's just like talk to Jesus about it. Let's pray about it, and we're gonna be fine. But I am so grateful because moving across the country already was kind of terrifying, and for both of us, like it was scary. But like having each other, like I'm so grateful. That we were able to move at the same time, and that we've been roommates the whole time. It's really been a special experience and has brought us a lot closer. And we're very close with our whole family, and so that's been hard to be away from them. But yeah. I'm so grateful that to have her. She's like my little angel. But no, she's so much more mature than me, so I can't really. She's the coolest. So I'm so grateful, and I love working with her, and hopefully she doesn't get too tired of me most days, but she's great.
Very cool. Well, that's awesome. So I want to talk a little bit. You've got some new music coming out. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so very, very exciting. I just signed a record deal in October with a label called Provident Label Group.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a division of Sony Music. And so they've been awesome so far. I really love them. And I'm putting out a single in very, very soon in February. And then an EP a little bit after that. And I'm not exactly able to talk specifics, but there's some songs. I mean, all of them I'm very excited about and to share and to get them out into the world. Some of them I've had for a little longer than others, and then there's some songs that are a bit newer. But they're ready. They're ready to be out in the world, and I'm ready for everyone to hear them.
Very cool.
First song is it's going to be my first radio single.
Okay.
So I go on my first radio tour. And I'm excited about that too. So it's just all, we did the photo shoot, and like we've had some just video shoots and stuff like this where it's just, what is my life? This is so weird.
That's awesome. So, what was your inspiration behind the radio single?
So the radio single is, it's a song, it's called Funeral. But it's a different kind of funeral. It's a song about the old is gone and the new has come. It's putting to death the old things in our past. And it sounds like a depressing song, and like we're about to like go to a funeral, but it really is like an upbeat. Like I play it on my ukulele. It's a fun song because it's a celebration, and that's kind of the whole heart behind it. It's like I'm throwing a funeral for my past, because I'm brand new and I'm made new when I became a Christian, and every day His mercies are new every morning, and so that's the heart behind it. But my kind of hope is that when people hear it, they'll hear that like they can throw a funeral to their fear and to anxiety and to failure and to whatever it is they need to throw a funeral for, and they can throw a party and they can throw a funeral in a good way, because the Lord is redeeming, and He does that every day.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. With something you've mentioned a few times throughout, I want to touch on. You say you play the ukulele. Is that the first instrument you learned, or it sounds like you've played that a few different times?
Yeah. It's kind of my thing a little bit, and I love it. I play the ukulele a lot. I started playing piano when I was little and took piano. And I still play piano and then guitar. So those are kind of the three things that I play. So those are the main ones I write with. When I write on the ukulele or play songs on the ukulele, they're generally a little more happy, a little more upbeat, just because the ukulele is that. But I still have a lot to learn, but those are the three that I play.
Very cool. And what do you see kind of as in the next few years? Where do you see yourself?
Oh, such a good question. I think I definitely still see myself doing music. I see myself putting out new music. That this EP I'm really excited about the songs, but I think it's a jumping off point for even more. My heart is to be honest and vulnerable with the words and songs that I write and share, and that it would just encourage that in other people. I have a heart, especially for young girls, but that's not the only people that will encourage. I hope everyone that hears it is encouraged by the songs. But in the next few years, I definitely see myself putting out more music. I love being on the road, so definitely touring more. I think that's like I'd love to just be on the road more and tour more. I love doing that, putting out new music and just continuing to find what God is calling me to do. And as that grows and changes and forms into new things, that I would just be obedient to that. So that's kind of my hope and prayer for the next few years.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. All right. Well, I like to end every podcast with some rapid fire questions. And so I know you've been away for a while, but I'm still going to ask them. So the first question is, do you have a lesser known or favorite location on Camano that you like to hang out? Maybe when you come visit.
Oh, I love Iverson Beach. I love Iverson Beach. And there's a hike near there, and I can't think of what it's called. Farnham Point.
Yes, yeah.
Just like very lesser known. I don't want it to become popular, but I guess no. Have you been there?
Yeah, we actually we went there, I think in the fall. They had done the renovation and everything to that, and we went out, and it was only overcast when I called my wife and said, bring the kids down, we'll do this hike. Well, as soon as we pull up there, it starts pouring down rain. So we did the shortest trail possible, but it was beautiful. Like, it was such a great walking through the woods in that area, and just brought so many memories back. Like, as a kid, I would run through woods like that, on Camano. So
yeah, I love it. That's really my favorite spot right now. I love that.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Pretend you have a friend coming from out of town visiting Camano, or I guess if you came back with a friend from Nashville, what would your first day look like here?
Oh, it's so good. I would definitely take them to the island. We would go either to Iverson or to one of the beaches. I would definitely take them around there. I would take them to the cookie mill, and we'd probably grab a cookie and some coffee. And then I'm trying to think of, depends on what, we might go to like the Stanwood movie theater at some point, just because the whole mural is so cool to me, and I think everyone should see that.
Yeah.
But I'd probably take them downtown and we walk around a little bit, but I would first take them to the beach.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is something that like you take for granted when you live here or grow up here, and when you move away, you're not by it. It's different.
100%.
Who is an interesting person or fascinating person that I should interview next?
Oh, that is so good. I love that. Do they need to be from like Stanwood, Camano?
That's my target right now.
No, that's great. I love that. Okay. Oh my goodness, there's so many people. I should have thought of this before. Okay, hold on. Let me think. Have you had Molly Christensen?
No, but I talked about having her on.
You should. Molly Christensen. I'm trying to think. Lindsey Crawford would be great. You can just interview all the Crawfords.
I know.
Her experience is a lot different than mine, because she works in music management, and she's a great person to talk to. She's really fun.
Yes. No, I do want to interview her, and I actually have your dad on the interview list as well.
Oh, good. You just interview all the Crawfords.
I know. I was like, this is great. Why can't every family have multiple people?
I love it. That's awesome.
So, very cool. All right. So last question is, if you could have a message on a billboard right as you're driving up on the island, what would that say?
I think it would say you are seen. you are seen and you are loved, I think.
Yeah, that's good. We've had some messages that are kind of along those lines, and I think it is something. I mean, if you just don't, in this crazy world and everything, you don't always hear that. You don't always feel that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It was yesterday in the music industry, but that was kind of one of the takeaways. Was just like, you are seen and you are loved. You in like a way that he's disappointed in you and like, oh, you're messing up again. He sees you. He sees you that he's like he loves you. Like he sees you because he sat with the tax collectors for dinner. Like he didn't eat with the religious elect, and he sat with some people that, the people in bars or wherever. Like he sees you and he meets you right where you're at. And so I think that's where I'm like, yeah, why would I have on a billboard? I think
that's good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, Leanna.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah. All right. And Islanders, I will talk to you on the next one. Okay, now we'll go off the record. Well, a big thank you to Leanna Crawford for joining me on the podcast today, and thank you for listening. If you haven't already, check out Leanna's music. You can find her anywhere where you listen to music, so Apple Music, Spotify, all those different things. And be sure to be on the lookout for her new single coming out in February, Funeral. And if you haven't already, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It helps us be found by other Islanders like yourself. And for more information on this episode or previous episodes, go to camanocommons.com/podcast. That's camanocommons.com/podcast. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.